Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the financial jargon that shapes our world. And today we've got a real treat, a peek behind the curtain of Talphera, incorporated maybe to understand their new board member, and a rather interesting agreement. So what is happening at Talphera Incorporated? They just filed a current report, basically a heads up about some significant changes. And if you're interested in how companies make big decisions and who is calling the shots, stick around. Oh, and before we dive deep, if you enjoy getting these insights directly from the source without the fluff, smash that subscribe button. Also, we have a fantastic community over on Discord. The link is in the description below. Join us to keep the conversation going. The big news here is the appointment of Joseph Tedisco to their board of directors. Now, who is this gentleman and why is his arrival noteworthy? Mr. Tedisco is 49 years old and he brings a wealth of experience in the pharmaceutical world. He has been the Chief Executive Officer of CorMedix Incorporated since May of 2022 and has been on their board since March of 2022. Before that, he spent over a decade at Amneal Pharmaceuticals as a senior executive, notably as the Executive Vice President and Chief Commercial Officer, where he oversaw a branded specialty products business with a focus on neurology and endocrinology. He also co-founded Gemini Laboratories, a specialty pharmaceutical company that was later acquired by Amneal. Has also had roles at Ranbaxy Incorporated, Par Pharmaceutical, Oppenheimer and Company, and Marsh and McLennan Companies. So clearly someone with a deep understanding of the business. Now, when a new director joins, especially one with this kind of background, they usually get compensated, and Talphera Incorporated is no exception. On the 15th of October, just a day after his appointment, Mr. Tedisco was granted 6397 restricted stock units and options to buy 38,381 shares of the company's common stock. The price to exercise these options is set at $1.11 per S-share. What does this mean for us following the company? Well, restricted stock units generally vest over time, meaning he needs to stay with the company for a certain period to fully own them. And options give him the right to buy stock at a set price. This compensation structure is designed to align his interests with those of the shareholders. He gets motivated to help the stock price go up so his options become valuable. These awards will vest in 3 equal installments over 3 years, starting from the 14th of October 2025, as long as he continues to serve on the board. They are also planning to sign a non-employee director indemnification agreement with him, which is pretty standard protection for directors. But here is where it gets really interesting. Mr. Tedisco's appointment isn't just a standard hiring. He was appointed because of a securities purchase agreement Talphera Incorporated made with CorMedix Incorporated back in September. This agreement gives CorMedix a special right. As long as CorMedix and its partners own at least 25% of the shares they bought from Talphera Incorporated, CorMedix gets to nominate one director to Talphera S board. So Joseph Tedisco is essentially there as CorMedix S representative. This tells us CorMedix is a significant player in Talphera S story. And then there is this huge piece of the puzzle, a right of first negotiation. This agreement states that after Talphera Incorporated publicly announces positive primary endpoint and top-line clinical data and results for their product candidate NIAD, CorMedix will have 60 days to exclusively negotiate with Talphera about acquiring 100% of Talphera S stock. During this 60-day period, Talphera Incorporated cannot talk to any other potential buyers about an acquisition, a sale of assets, or anything similar. This is a pretty strong signal that CorMedix sees significant value in Talphera S product NIAD and is potentially looking at a full takeover. If they can reach a deal within those 60 days, Talphera can make a deal with someone else on terms that are worse than what CorMedix offered for another 9 months without CorMedix consent. This right of first negotiation is tied to the success of the Nephro-CRT clinical study and will expire by the end of 2027, or if the study is terminated early. So, the future of Talphera Incorporated, at least in the short to medium term, looks very much tied to the success of NIAD and the relationship with CorMedix Incorporated. Alright, let's step back and look at the bigger picture. What does this all mean? On the surface, we see a strategic appointment of an experienced director, which is usually a positive sign for governance. However, the underlying agreement with CorMedix Incorporated is the real story here. The board nomination right, and especially the right of first negotiation, suggest a potential acquisition is on the horizon, heavily influenced by the success of Talphera's NIAD product candidate. This creates both opportunity and risk. The opportunity is that a successful trial could lead to a lucrative acquisition, benefiting shareholders. The risk is that Talphera's strategic future is significantly constrained by this agreement, potentially limiting other interesting avenues or partnerships if they achieve success with NIAID. It appears the company is betting big on NIAID, and CorMedix Incorporated agrees, to the point where they're holding the keys for a potential takeover. For investors, this filing is a crucial update. It signals a period of heightened activity and a clear path toward a potential major transaction, dependent on clinical trial results. Keep a close eye on the NIAID study updates and any further announcements regarding the CorMedix Incorporated agreement. Now, looking at these developments more broadly, Talphera Incorporated seems to be in a transitional phase. The appointment of Tedisco with his background likely signals a strengthening of their commercial and strategic capabilities. The dependence on the Nephro-CRT clinical study and the associated rights granted to CorMedix Incorporated represent a substantial opportunity, but also a concentrated risk factor. The company's valuation and future trajectory will very likely be dictated by the outcome of this study and the subsequent negotiations with CorMedix Incorporated. So, what's my take on this? Talphera Incorporated is placing a huge bet on NIAID. The agreement with CorMedix Incorporated is a double-edged sword. It provides a potential lucrative exit strategy if NIAID is successful, but it also limits their flexibility. The appointment of Mr. Tedisco is clearly connected to this larger deal, indicating CorMedix's deep involvement. The key risk here is the clinical trial outcome. If NIAID fails to meet its endpoints, the acquisition talks could collapse, leaving Talphera in a more precarious position. However, if it succeeds, a significant payday for shareholders could be on the horizon. Based on these filings, it's clear that the next year or so will be pivotal for Talphera Incorporated. Alright, that is our deep dive into Talphera Incorporated's latest report. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Do you think NIAID will be a success? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps us out and ensures you don't miss future deep dives. So subscribe and don't forget to check out the Discord link in the description. It's a great place to connect and discuss these topics further. Thanks for watching, see you next time.